global reach of this movement.
That is indeed a lot of people, but it is not just about the numbers. It is about the connections that we will make here, the ideas that we will share, and the solutions that we are building up together. So let's make the most we can out of this week, and let's make sure that every voice is heard. We invite each of you to engage in the discussions, share your experiences, and be part of this movement for good food for all for today and tomorrow.
And now, to officially open the Global Youth Forum, we have a very special guest. Drumroll, please. Please join me in welcoming the Director General of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United States, Mr. Chu Dong-yu.
Now you can see the United States so powerful. I'm not from the United States, be clear. Otherwise, the Italian said we'll make another additional. I'm from China. But I'm coming here working for you, for 194 members. And also, of course, for younger generation, I committed for my life. Because I come from young. I'm still keeping my young at heart. Dear young colleagues, you can feel my power. Dear leaders of today and tomorrow. Dear visionaries of all ages. Welcome to the opening ceremony of 2024 World Food Forum Global Youth Forum. The World Food Day 2024 themes right to food for a better life and a better future. Remind us that FAO has huge mission to food security for the people every day, everywhere. We are starting this exciting week with the official opening of Global Youth Forum because youth perspectives and youth action are not only a top priority, they are a necessity for the future of our global agrifood system and food culture. That's the fundamental meaning of the Summit of Future, convened last month in New York. As we kick off this incredible journey together, I wanted to extend a heartfelt thank you to all our participants, from the head of the state government to the ministers, leaders, partners who have joined us today, physically in Rome, online, globally. Your presence with us today is a powerful testament to how the critical youth are. As the leaders here today know, one of the most important skills a good leader can have is to listen, thinking, and action. We must always be open to new ideas and innovative solutions. That's also one of the indicators measure how people are young at heart. They are still young at heart and mind. A lot of people even had difficulty making friends with their kids, grandkids, because that means their age. Yesterday, I saw the marathon on Twitter. The Italian, he's 95 years old and still running 10,000 meters. And then he said, the age is just a number. So I said here, we must always be open to the new ideas and the innovative solutions that keep us so-called young at heart and mind. Great leaders also empower others. Great leader not only doing your own business silos, should be get connected, and learning together, working together, and contributing together. That's, I think, the message from my young at heart and mind. So, today, we are here to listen, to learn from, and empower the new wave of change makers. You are change makers, not only for today and for tomorrow. So I urge all of you young leaders and participants to speak about and be heard, and also to be humble and inclusive, respect each other. The Global Youth Forum is not just about recognizing and appreciating the important role youth have to play. It is also about scaling up and strengthening the earth-moving shift our youth are already making and will continue to make. At FAO, my young colleagues have been the heartbeat of the transformation, filling the organization with the fresh ideas, innovative approaches, and unstoppable energy with the deliverables. I know young people easily to be exciting, but after exciting, you need some deliverable action. That makes you different from ordinary young people. You will become the leading group of the future who can deliverable. They will become leaders in the future. In fact, the World Food Forum started with discussions among my young colleagues in the FAO Youth Committee, as established in 2019, when I took office as a FAO Director General. Be honest, when I was 30 plus, was a vice president of the Youth Federation in China. And I was youngest vice president of Chinese Academy of Agricultural Sciences. I always talk share my thought with 300 million young people in China. That gave me power, gave me energy, and gave me experience. That's why they really want to change if we start with young people. Only through young people can change for the future. What I started there will expand even more with the FAO Office of Youth and Women, an exciting new office created to boost the role of the young people and women in transforming agrifood system and accelerate SDG target across the globe. I really appreciate that the members endorsed my proposal last December to allow me to establish regular budget to support the new office. It's the first ever in the UN system. I'm proud to share this my experience took after 4 years. We finally have a chance to establish this systematic arrangement in FAO. This office is more than just a space. It is a reflection of our commitment to boosting youth leadership and ensuring that their voice continue to shape our strategies and actions. The Global Youth Forum is one of the 3 pillars of the World Food Forum, an event which in just 4 short years have grown into a global movement. Thousands of passionate individuals from all the corners of the world are coming together, not just for this week, but throughout the year, not in Rome, New York, but all the members. This year, we have witnessed pivotal engagement by World Food Forum youth leaders at all of the FAO technical committees, the committees on fishery, the committee on forestry, and the committee on agriculture. These young leaders are raising the standard for youth inclusion and make sure that the perspectives and the concerns have a place at the table. At the country level, we have seen the launch of new national chapters, 24 5 in total. I remember first one in Nepal last year. So started with Nepal, not because it's higher members, highest member in the world in the Himalaya Mountain, but it's a small stone from the high Himalaya mountains. Lead the change. I really appreciate my colleagues from Nepal and King, K-E-N, not a K-I-N-G. He made a lot of things to change with the 4 betters and also all the small things, but a big impact, at least the systematic ownership. That's why I gave him a special track recognition from P5 to D1. That's only I can do, yeah? If we are deliverable, because when I arrived, he was a P3. It's not means he's from Japan. No, he's good. That's why I said the action, performance, lead your career growth. That are the key to spreading the movement, reach even further, and embedding it deeper at the local level. Youth are the drivers of the World Food Forum through the innovation, culture, education, policy, and local action. This week, you will learn about the important research being undertaken and the startup challenges being faced. You will see the firsthand some of the incubation initiatives. You will experience knowledge and skill sharing and so much more. But remember, the World Food Forum is more than just a platform. It is a movement in place, continuous action. You see, the first lady, she's from Zimbabwe. Last year, she came to sing. So, and also indigenous people from Indonesia. He also became the superstar, yeah? And that's also a platform for the young people to be globally influential. That's the stage for you to play. That's the stage for you to make the change, the world better and better. What is exciting about this week is not just a number of sessions, activities, but the depth of the conversations and solutions with concrete actions. From innovative dialogues to thought-provoking sessions, the lineup is packed with opportunities for you to engage, share, and learn. You are the driving force behind these dialogues. They will set the stage of the impactful change. So, as we embark on this journey, let us keep the momentum going. Your ideas, your energy, your commitment are what will lead us towards a more dynamic and prosperous future. I'm counting on you, our global youth, and let us keep going until good food for all, for tomorrow, and today, of course. I thank you. And now I want to present my special calligrapher to the FO Youth Committee, chair of the FO Youth Committee. It's a small surprise to you. Maximo Torero. He's the first FO chair for FO Youth Committee. He is a champion to lead this change together with me and other colleagues during past 5 years. So I hope you are not young physically, but I hope you keep your young at heart and also mind. No, I knew. I just want to keep the surprise. I know someone can read. So, 4 banners gather us to change, and also all the global youth bring your dynamic energy together. Today is October 14th. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chu Dongyu, Director General of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. We truly appreciate your powerful words and your steadfast support for youth leadership. Now, as you will see,
our technicians are preparing the stage for an exciting set of speakers who will be discussing the importance of youth engagement and empowerment in the agri-food system's transformation. This is a chance for us to dive deeper into how young people can lead the way in creating sustainable agri-food systems.
Exactly, Osei, because the youth of today are not just participants, but architects of the future, offering solutions that are visionary, pragmatic, and urgently needed.
That's right. Young people bring fresh perspectives, innovative ideas, and the passion needed to push us all towards a more equitable and sustainable future. This is your third World Food Forum, isn't it?
This is my third, and it's your second, I believe.
Second. So tell me a little bit about how the forum has changed from World Food Forum 2 to World Food Forum 4.
I think, as the Director General was saying, a few years ago, this was just discussions, and we really couldn't have thought that this would grow to a global movement, over 10,000 people in this building, a further 8,000 online. So I think that's what I'm most excited about, to see the growth, and also across the different thematic areas, from culture to education, innovation, local action, and youth assembly. I'm really excited for what we'll see this week.
I can't see what it grows to for World Food Forum 5. But before we get there, I have the honor to welcome to the stage a dynamic group of panelists to share their perspectives on this very topic.
Fantastic. So over to you, Osei, to introduce our panelists.
But we're going to hear from you again soon, right?
Yes, for sure. Because don't forget, we will now show a QR code on the screen, because everybody here has the possibility to ask questions to our panelists. So please, I encourage you to use the QR code and submit your questions, and I will come back later to ask the questions directly to our panelists.
All right, thank you so much, David, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
So please take out your phones, scan this QR code, and submit your questions so that we can ask them at the second half of our panel. Speaking of the panel, I'm going to take a moment to introduce our incredible panelists. First up, we have His Excellency Dr. Lingham Dong Sen-Vin, the Minister of Agriculture and Forestry for Laos. Let's keep the applause going as he comes to the stage. Welcome. Thank you. Next up, we have Mr. Philippe Paulier, the Assistant Secretary General for Youth Affairs for the United Nations Youth Office. Good, how are you? Next up, we have His Excellency Mr. Jurian Middelhoff, the Dutch Ambassador for Youth, Education, and Work.
So then we mix women and
We can mix. Yes. Let's keep it going. Thank you. Next up, we have Ms. Mariana Montez Marino, the Chief International Affairs and Cooperation Officer of the First Lady's Office of the Republic of El Salvador. We have Ms. Leila Hasanova, the COP29 Youth Climate Champion. And last but not least, we have Andile M. Guni, the World Food Forum Youth Policy Board representative. All right. So, thank you so much for being here. We're going to hear from our panelists very, very soon. But first, we'll be introducing the first culture segment. And to introduce the culture segment, I will have some words that are going to come very, very soon. Can we scroll up on the queue, please? Thank you. It's my special privilege to introduce the wonderful Parneet Kaur. She is a young poet from India who highlights sustainability, gender equality, and Indigenous peoples' rights through her art. She founded Poetry for Planet, a youth-led global initiative that highlights stories of unsung climate leaders, and Girl Up Zuban, which empowers marginalized women in India. Parneet, welcome to the stage.
Namaste from India. So I am the official World Food Forum poet, and today I'm here to remind you about the importance of youth in agri-food systems. The first poem ever written was with seeds in our words when they said, "The way to the heart is through the stomach." And that's where, dear all, the permutations and combinations began to birth a muse, every leaf a line, every fruit a verse, every farm a poem. Inspired, the Brazilians turned the land into a bard, birthing couplets after couplets of cacao and cassava, and a lesson for us to lead, to trust our youth and let them lead. Assured, her heart brimming with faith, nature retreats into her zai pit in Sahel to dip her toes in a mushy embrace of mulch and manure, to pause, to recover, to nurture the next generation, to lead. Overcome by compassion for nature's perennial labor, the Indians slake her thirst by pouring love, drip by drip, aiming straight for the roots, gracefully leaving imprints of a reminder to bow, to reflect, to reconnect, to fall in love with one's roots. Raising a toast to intergenerational generosity, the Native Americans plant three sisters, maize, beans, and squash together to console a batch of a lovelorn batch of crops, biding its time for a fruitful explosion. Following closely, the Romans, quick to nature's reprieve, save her from another yet to brute. And as we stand on the cusp of a golden bloom, listen carefully. Do you hear the joy in earth's womb? Now, before you sharpen the sickle for the harvest, before you pay homage to the sun and moon gods, gently take a step back and trace the trail of agriculture from Brazil to Italy, all the way to the beginning, to the very first poem written with seeds and not words. Thank you so much for listening. And this is a gentle reminder to forge an intergenerational contract to include youth in agri-food systems. Thank you so much.
Once again, thank you so much to our poet. Here at the World Food Forum, we think it's so important that we provide a space where we can blend art and policy. So we had the art, onto the policy. You guys mind if I ask you some questions? All right, we're gonna hop right in. At the first instance that you answer a question, can you introduce yourselves one more time to the audience so that they remember who you are, what your role is, and then they'll hear your excellence. Our first question is, when we discuss youth engagement in governance, the focus often shifts to meaningful participation. What does meaningful, impactful youth participation look like to you, and how can it be achieved in practice? Who would like to start? Felipe?
So, good morning to all. Muy buenos días para los que hablan español. I'm very happy to be here with all of you. And first of all, I need to congratulate FAO and all the people that are behind this amazing space we have and the possibility to be gathered all together, some of us in person, but many more virtually, when it's about reimagining how young people are really fully involved when it's about food systems and agriculture systems. So when we think about meaningful participation, and it's important that now it's very clear that in every space we have started to talk always about meaningful participation. It's not just about participation. It's clearly we're switching from a perspective many years back where we think about it only as a mere consultative process. And this also means a change in the structure, moving from looking at young people as beneficiaries into looking young people as real partners when it's about policy making. So maybe on my perspective, and this is the UN's global perspective, I have the role and the responsibility to lead the United Nations Youth Office. That was one of the recommendations of our Common Agenda policy recommendations of the Secretary General, and this office was established in 2022 by the General Assembly of the United Nations, so by 193 governments that agreed that creating structures for meaningful participation was a priority. But when we look into it, I think that at least 4 things should be always taken into account for participation to be meaningful. One is access. We need to guarantee that we have a diversity of access, an inclusive participation. The second part is participation needs to be influential. It's not about only consultation. And how we make it influential, creating structures, creating processes. The FAO Director General mentioned the enormous effort and the enormous advance FAO is doing now structurally as an organization to really advance on this. And I think that at many levels we need to continue to advance. And not only in the UN, we need to do this in every institution, in governments. We need this to do it in the private sector. It's about including a population that represents 50% of the population when we consider people under 30 years old. A third point, it's about accountability. We cannot create meaningful processes if we are not accountable for those processes and for those participations. And the fourth one is safety. If we really want to create meaningful participation, institutions, we need to guarantee that human rights are perspective and that young people are meaningfully and safely engaged.
Let's give it up for that. I'd also love to hear from one of our young people engaged in meaningful youth participation. What are your thoughts on what that looks like and how it relates to your role?
Thank you so much. Good morning to everyone, and thanks to FAO for the commitment and for the invitation. I'm happy to be here with the distinguished panelists. To start, my name is Leila Hassanova. I'm the Youth Climate Champion for COP29. The Youth Climate Champion role was institutionalized last year at COP28 UAE, and the team made huge efforts in order to institutionalize and start this process, the youth inclusion at COPs. So coming to meaningful youth participation, I totally agree with Dr. Felipe, and the work that the youth office is doing is amazing, and we are trying to also fit and see where both of us can work for young people and to make sure that their participation at the COPs and other dialogues are there. So one of the main pillars for me, what I think is intergenerational dialogue. As Director General mentioned, great leaders empower others. So we should take this experience from great leaders, we should be connected with them so that our participation, the youth participation at important gatherings is meaningful. And we definitely have to make sure that decision makers are investing, countries, governments, NGOs, they are investing in the education for young people. They are making sure that the process is meaningful by equipping those young people with the relevant instruments in their hands, which is, of course, capacity building and raising awareness.
I'd also be curious to get an answer to this question from an individual government perspective, perhaps the Netherlands or Laos? Yes.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, guests, and young leader. Today, I would like to focus on a concept that often mentioned but really fully realize meaningful young participation. To me, as meaningful and impactful young participation is not just about giving young people to sit and at the table only. It is about ensuring that their voice and their heart, their idea, value, and their contribution lead to the tangible outcome. This one is the important, meaningful for me. For me, personally, reflection, I would like to highlight that meaningful young participation look like in the practice. We focus on the three strategic pillars. The first one is inclusive governance. That means integrating young into the own level of the decision making from the local cooperative to the international body. And the secondly is capacity enhancing in investing in the agriculture education, digital literacy, and leadership training, particularly in the rural area, and in my case, in Lao PDR. And the third one is innovation ecosystem. This one also important for meaningful. Also creating the platform for the young lead initiative and fostering integration and collaboration. This one important. Thank you.
Thank you. Now to hear from our second half of the panelists, the final three, I would like to ask one more question. If we could go back just a tiny bit. Thank you so much. When we're looking at this week specifically, what recommendations do you have to enhance youth effectiveness when we're creating platforms for youth engagement as it relates to agri-food systems? What steps can we take beyond the World Food Forum to ensure lasting impacts in these discourses? Do you want to start?
Is my mic on? Yes, it is. Hello, everyone. My name is Andile Mnguni from South Africa. I was so happy to see a Southern African sister on stage earlier, and I was like, whoop, whoop. And I'm Zulu. She's from Zimbabwe, but I'm Zulu. I was like, okay, here we are. We're representing here as well. Thank you so much for the question, and thank you so much for having this really powerful panel and conversation more than anything. And to really start off in answering your question, I wanted to ask, how often have we heard older generations speak about young people as the future? Like almost all the time, right? And they speak of us as the custodians of innovations, of ones with energy, of ones that are being about real change in a better world. And although I'm really grateful to the older generations that champion the role of young people in these spaces, the reality is it really takes all of us. That is the truth of what bringing agri-food systems transformation really looks like. Youth engagement in agri-food systems transformation is not just an agenda item. It's a necessity. And it's about time we start looking at it as more than just young people being mere beneficiaries of change, but really being a part of the process of leading that change. And I'll really never forget one of the first times I was involved in a multilateral process. I was part of a youth delegation. I was so excited, and here I am to enact youth equity. And it didn't take long to really realize that I wasn't just there as a young person. I was a young black woman from the African continent. And all of a sudden, I realized that all these layers of my identity that have previously been undermined were not just what they usually are. They really were a tool for me to not just represent the voices of young people, but a magnitude of underserved and like leverage voices within these rooms, and we're often left out of them. So too often we speak about youth in so many broad strokes, but we have a reality that we come with layers of race, of gender, of geography, and lived experience, and all of which really shape how we contribute to these systems. We bring perspectives that are as varied as they are vital, and they're not tools for us to not participate. They are what makes our participation so crucial in these spaces. We're here, and we're not just here to be heard. We're here to co-create solutions, and this is how we start today. 1, we must redesign how we include youth in decision-making processes, not just as token representatives, but as partners who have a say in shaping the agenda. The lived realities we bring, whether it's as like for young farmers facing climate unpredictability, or as young women facing economic exclusion, all of these are invaluable to building resilient agri-food systems. 2, we kind of need to stop framing youth engagement as a risk and start seeing it for what it is. It's an investment to the world that we want to create. We don't need to wait for youth to become the leaders of tomorrow, and I'm so glad it was mentioned that we're also the leaders of today, because we really are leading today.
I could listen to you talk all day. Let's give it up for this answer, first off. Thank you. But I want to make sure that we're able to hear not only from our final 2 panelists, but also to get in some of our audience questions, because the young people are the ones leading the way. So I want to invite David back onto the stage, actually, and see if we can get at least one audience question. And perhaps y'all can, number 1, answer the questions from the young people, and also fold in some of your perspectives, having heard what the other panelists have had to say. Does that sound all right? All right, David, what have we got so far?
Okay, so the QR code has been very active and we have many questions. Our top question, so what makes this forum more than just discussions and visuals? How are each of you, or those of you who wish to answer the question, going to translate the discussions you have this week or today into your work after the forum?
Ambassador Urian, why don't we start with you?
Thank you very much for raising that question at my very first World Food Forum. But I'm
Welcome.
very enthusiastic to be here. I was recommended to visit by many, and I was actually invited by our permanent representative here already 2 years ago. My name is Juriaan Middelhoff. I'm the Dutch ambassador for youth education and work. The Netherlands is really putting youth at the heart of its foreign policy. So I'm very pleased that the DG actually mentioned this, Young at Heart, what we call our strategy Youth at Heart, whereby we invest in young persons all over the world, particularly in Africa and the Middle East. And we do that on the basis of a strategy that came about by consulting young people. Because that's important. If you are really genuine about listening to young people, you have to practice what you preach. So we invest in creating youth employment. We invest in creating education that's necessary for doing the jobs that there will be in the future. And I think very relevant in this regard, we invest in meaningful youth participation everywhere. So I already think that the World Food Forum is a great start for actually putting meaningful youth participation in practice. I've heard so many fantastic suggestions and principles. I'm going to add a few more because we're here also with our youth representatives, Ida and Biene. And I consulted with them. They actually provided me with some insights on how could meaningful youth participation look like in the food security systems. And they found that meaningful youth participation in global food governance can be strengthened by focusing on inclusiveness, you already mentioned that, aim for consulting representative groups of youth. And practically this can mean provide support with structured barriers like time and financial investments. Visa is one of the most pressing examples. 2, transparency. Be clear what you do with the input of youth. And also be clear what you cannot do with the input of youth. 3, be consistent. And this is cherished by including youth in the whole process of policy making. And 4, autonomy. And this means that youth can only contribute meaningfully if they don't feel barriers for sharing their views. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, we have another question here. Again, open to whoever wishes. How do each of you plan on making the most of this year's World Food Forum flagship event?
Yes, can we get a response from you?
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Mariana Montes, the Chief of International Affairs and Cooperation of the Office of the First Lady, and it's an honor to be here on behalf of El Salvador, a country committed to change agri-food systems with the strength and energy of its young people. Well, El Salvador has changed a lot in the past 5 years since President Bukele took office in 2019. And the situation of El Salvador was violence, and our young people used to live in fear rather than hope. But now we're seeing a switch in this change, and youth are emerging as the new agents of change in El Salvador. And with the leadership of the First Lady, nutrition is now a priority, and it's a deep commitment. And under all her initiatives, now we're creating a youth platform for nutrition, where we want our young people to be part of the change and to lead the change and to give us the solutions. Just last week, we met with more than 50 young Salvadorians, where we discussed the pressing challenges of nutrition, food security, and climate change. And what we saw were empowered and very engaged youth with solutions to these different challenges. And I'm very excited to now hear from the youth of this forum and from the different practices around the world, because something very important for us is not to reinvent the wheel, is to learn from each other. And I think this forum can help us to unite and share bold ideas, but also to document all these practices around the world, to be able to implement it and also collaborate with the different regions of the world. Collaborate, for example, with different countries of Latin America and help each other, because we have very similar problems. And it's very important to work together. And also, this week is very important for us to be able to find partners and also cooperation, because without financing, well, the work is not going to be possible. So we want to create that partnership, learn. It's also my first time in this World Food Forum, so I'm very excited to learn a lot and to find new friends and a new community where our youth from El Salvador can be heard and can exchange, and we can find some international cooperation. So thank you.
Amazing. Now, unfortunately, we are nearing the end of our panel, so I want to make sure that everyone has some time to share closing thoughts. We're going to go down the line, and if you could share either one word or one sentence about what you've gained, your thoughts on the panel, or closing words to inspire the youth that are attending here in person and watching online. What is meaningful youth engagement, and how would you encourage young people to move forward from here? Yeah, let's start this way.
Thank you. Just a closing remark from my side, which I wanted to introduce you as I am representing the COP29 presidency, which will be hosted in Azerbaijan, in Baku, just next month. In November, on November 11, we will start the COP29 in Baku, and we are looking forward to fostering and having an inclusive COP this year. We are running the Baku Harmonia Climate Initiative for Farmers, which will be an aggregator bringing together initiatives, coalitions and networks to share experiences and identify synergies and gaps. 95% of nationally determined contributions include adaptation and mitigation in the agricultural sector. That's why we're launching this initiative, and just a quick call for all that we will be looking forward as we gather here for this event. We'll be looking forward to host you in Baku as well to support Baku Harmonia initiative for agricultural and food systems.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I actually have two thoughts, but I'll keep it brief, don't worry.
We'll allow it.
The first one is the idea of intergenerational contexts. We have to think intergenerational. It's an essential for meaningful youth participation. And for example, in the Netherlands, we're now developing intergenerational tests to make sure that policies are beneficial to future generations. And in this regard, last month's Summit of the Future, where we concluded a pact on the future and the Declaration on Future Generations, are essential calls to action for everyone. That's my first call. Second call, we also need to involve more youth in the agricultural sector and in food systems. The average age is 55 all around the world of farmers and people active in agriculture. Sometimes in Africa, for example, it's even over 60. That means that we need to work all together to make the sector more attractive, but also more open for young people, because we need them. Their creative way on approaching food systems, their ways to adapt innovations, and quite frankly, we need them to solve many of the issues that my generation, our generations have caused. So we need to think together, and I'm hoping to find some answers here this week. How can we involve more youth and that in the sector, and that also starts with meaningful youth participation in the sector. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm being told that we are out of time. So unfortunately, we have to stop there. I know some of our speakers also have other events that they're moderating and communicating at throughout the World Food Forum. So you'll have an opportunity to hear more nuggets of their wisdom later. But first, let's thank the panel so much for being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's give it up one more time for our panel.
So thank you again, Osei, for having moderated such an insightful discussion, which is giving us real food for thought as we look ahead to the coming week.
You know, it's amazing. It's very rare that we have spaces like this where we have young people who are doing grassroots organizing and activism paired with their country's leadership and also leadership from intergovernmental organizations. And seeing that leadership from every level, it really brings together the idea of this is a space where meaningful youth engagement has a definition and something that we're all working to collectively.
Absolutely. And this week, we're hoping to hear all of your thoughts on what does it mean for us to engage youth meaningfully in agri-food systems transformation. So in the Youth Assembly room, for sure, in the Ethiopia room, if you wish to join us, we're there for that discussion. And across the forum, we're there for that discussion too. So
I think
now,
it's time for a culture segment.
I feel like it's time for a culture segment too.
All right,
Over to you.
let us know what's going on.
So now it is my great pleasure to introduce the talented Indigenous artist, Pumahana, who will perform a traditional dance from Hawaii. Pumahana, you're welcome to join us on stage.
Thank you very much, Mariana, for this incredible performance. And now we are going to introduce you to the global coordinator of the World Food Forum, who will provide us some details on what we can expect for this exciting week ahead. Kazuki Kitaoka, the floor is yours.
Thanks so much, and good morning, everyone. This is going to be fast, and I know everyone wants to get to the sessions, and it's much more interesting than listening to me. But last year, one of the feedback points was that you wanted to know what are the different things that are actually happening during the week. So we are giving now this little overview, so you know what is actually at stake. Number one, for those who are coming in, you saw already, we have different parts of the forum. You come in and with this wonderful performance, this is a really nice bridge. We have the Indigenous territory, which is just outside on the right when you're coming in, and that's where the Indigenous youth are having their consultations, their sacred space to have consultations on agri-food on the food systems that are linked to the indigenous causes and their concerns. So, and of course, there will be a lot of interaction between the indigenous groups and all of the other different activities through the week as well. But we wanted to make sure that there's a sacred territory for indigenous youth during this week, as we did also the past years. On the exact other side, and somebody was mentioning before how important it is to bring farmers and young farmers in particular into this discussion much more strongly. We have a model farm where the this year's forum on family farming is going to happen. This has been designed actually by young farmers, all of them coming together with the World Farmers Organization, many farming institutions, and their young at heart representatives are coming together, talking there about the future of family farming and the actions that it takes for bringing this agenda to the next step. And then everything in between is of course, the different fora that are part of the World Food Forum itself. So the Global Youth Forum and the Youth Assembly that we are opening now with this particular session. We have also the Science and Innovation Forum. And as we all know, a lot of innovation, a lot of dynamism in innovation and in science is coming from young innovators, young scientists. So there's a really big positive overlap between science and innovation and the work on youth. And then finally, there is also an important point, and I think it was also mentioned, it was about investment. So all of this needs to also be underpinned by investing into the future of our agri-food system, into this transformation that we would like to see with young people at the core, and in order to actually achieve that, there is also the investment forum. This year, very specifically, there is also a discussion going to happen on water. There is a session that is called the Rome Water Dialogue. A lot of different discussions in this will be with and around the issues that were raised by young people on the water as a resource when it's coming to agriculture and food. And finally, and perhaps most prominently, on Wednesday we also have World Food Day, and this year's World Food Day will be about the right to foods, specifically on foods, as we look at the right to food, of course, a human right, but we are looking at different types of foods. So what are the types of foods that we have the right to? We have right to nutritious foods. We have the right to perhaps sustainably produced food. We have perhaps the right to food that is supporting our communities, and so on and so forth. So all of these different things are going to be discussed and celebrated at World Food Day. So a lot of things, and all of that is open, of course, to all of you. I know that all of you were taking the mark of youth when it was in the registration, but all the fora are open to all the participants, because that was really one of the questions that was raised last year. There is no boundary to any of the fora unless it is a private conversation. Of course, if you want to privately talk to somebody else, nobody should be intruding into that neither. And then finally, one thing that was said before as well, this is not a one-week show and then it's over. It is all about an ongoing activity. Now, this ongoing activity of the World Food Forum has several programs, and perhaps we can start with the one that is opening here, which is the perhaps also biggest institution that has been created as part of it, which is the Global Youth Assembly. And it's not me who is running that, or I'm just a facilitator. No? I'm the coordination guy who is trying to make sure that we are not going bankrupt with this. So the persons actually behind it are the program leaders, and the number one is the head of the assembly, Javier Bravo, who I would like to ask on stage if he's around, who can take you a little bit through what is happening this week in the assembly.
Thank you, Kazuki, for the introduction. Wow, it's an honor to be here today to give an overview to all of you on what the Youth Assembly is going to look like throughout the week. We're having 20 assemblies in total, and I'm going to start by explaining the 6 regional assemblies and the 3 roundtables. These 9 sessions in total will, where our Youth Policy Board members are going to present the draft Global Action Plan. This document which they've been working on for the last year is going through a last round of consultations throughout this week, and this is a unique opportunity for all of you to give your feedback, to share your views and your experiences to a lot of different pressing topics on the different regions of the world. So please come and join us for these 9 sessions. We have other 9 thematic assemblies covering a wide range of different topics, including forestry, aquatic food systems, climate change, and the list goes on. And these are very exciting as well, because you'll be able to also influence different global food governance spaces in this house and beyond. And last but not least, we're having 2 main stage events, one tomorrow morning at the Sheikh Zayed Center, where we're going to be talking about one of our main goals for this year, which was turning from policy into action. And the last main stage event will be happening on Friday, also in the Sheikh Zayed Center, and we will be launching the Global Action Plan after the previously mentioned sessions and consultations. So please, join us this week, even if this is the first time you're hearing about the Youth Assembly or you've been working with us for the last 3 years. We're happy to host everyone and to listen to all of your ideas, because they are vital to launch this Global Action Plan, to have a feasible plan for 2025 and 2026 to steer the World Food Forum's Youth Assembly. And join us in the Ethiopia room for the whole week, and we can celebrate on Friday a successful week and a successful Global Action Plan. Thank you very much.
And of course, as was said before, global talk should actually lead to local action, and a global action plan also in the end will lead to local action. That is why the work on local action is so important, and I'm inviting Victor, who is leading the program on localization and local action. And Victor, the floor is yours to explain what we are doing.
Thank you so much, Kazuki, for that very well introduction. As has been mentioned by very many speakers today, that local action is really important and one of the greatest opportunities for achieving agri-food systems transformation. And so the reason for this is very simple. While the challenges facing global agri-food systems are very global and shared, they are also, the solutions to these challenges need to be very locally fit and also context-specific. And because of this, we have the benefit of quite a number of young people from across the globe, 1,500 World Food Forum youth representatives and observers that throughout the year have been participating in the World Food Forum Youth Assembly, as mentioned by Javier, and we look forward to seeing how this can really translate into more opportunities for participation, meaningful participation, as we have talked about today, and for them to contribute towards these activities and also the global action plan. But as well, local action for us means engaging and collaborating with FAO's decentralized offices across the globe. And so this year, we have regional forum events organized by our different regional offices, different liaison offices, different country offices. And for complementary to the sessions that are happening here, you can always tune into these sessions that are happening across the globe, just also to ensure that we can drive the World Food Forum also to those countries, to those regions, and to those specific locations. And lastly, one of the other ways in which we drive local action is through World Food Forum national chapters. And today here, we have 25 national chapters that we are going to be launching. And so after a year-long development process, our national chapters have been growing, and we can't wait for them to share their experiences about how we are mobilizing young people for agri-food systems transformation here, across the globe. And so you definitely can look forward to those sessions, the side events that they are organizing, and also the main stage event where we'll be celebrating all the activities of our national chapters. So thank you so much, and you're very much welcome to these sessions and also to the World Food Forum.
Thanks, Victor. And as was said before, education is one of the most important things when it is coming to youth engagement, and that is why our next program, or the first program that we would like to introduce you to, is the education program, and Ushin, who is leading that.
Thanks a lot, Kazuki. Good morning, everyone. Céad Míle Fáilte. It's 100,000 welcomes in my language, Irish. My name is Ushin Gill, and it is with great honor that I'm before you leading the education team here at the World Food Forum. So like all of my colleagues, we have a jam-packed week ahead of us, and I look forward to inviting you to our sessions, to having you engage in our sessions, and learning together, developing the capacities of youth, developing our own knowledge, and sharing experiences. So diving into what we have throughout the week, starting tomorrow, in the Sheikh Zayed Center, we have our first policy and deliberation challenge. So I'm sure many of you here are looking forward to getting into policy making in the future, perhaps. We have this policy and deliberation challenge that throughout the year, we've had young people come up with innovative, creative policy ideas that they're wanting to share with policymakers across 3 different categories: healthy diets for people and planet, food waste, and sustainable water management. So join us tomorrow morning in the Sheikh Zayed Center, and there will be 9 fantastic teams over those 3 different categories. One of them will be given the chance, will be one of the winners selected by our senior management from the technical offices and divisions here in FAO. So if you're interested in policy making, I want to hear the solutions, the policies that young people want to showcase, join us for that one. Then, moving on to our AgX Fair, which is where X stands for Experience, Exchange, and Exhibit, all the best in agri-food systems education. That is tomorrow afternoon from 4:30 to 5:30 in the Sheikh Zayed Center, where we have 5 fantastic agri-food systems leaders developing solutions within education in their local communities across the world. So they're coming from Spain, Bangladesh, Uganda, Nigeria, and Colombia. So join us in that, and we'll see some fantastic solutions from 5 incredible teams. Then, moving to Thursday, if anybody's been here for the past 2 years, they will know that Thursday is a day that the youngest at heart take over. And our school students will be joining us to take over FAO for a fantastic schools event, the Junior World Food Day School Assembly this year, where we have fantastic performances, learning opportunities for young people, and inspirational speakers. So do join us, pass through. And not only that, afterwards they will be engaging throughout FAO as they take on the Discovery Stations tour. So lots of excitement, lots of energy on Thursday morning. And then finally, coming to our Young Scientists group. This group has done fantastic work throughout the year. I want to thank our colleagues here, especially Tisha, who has led this great group and the work to publish a report on digital technologies to enhance youth engagement in sustainable agri-food systems transformation. It's a really wonderful report. You'll see it throughout the week, and do engage with those young scientists across. And sorry, last but not least, our Educators Network. We're having a fantastic workshop event on Friday morning from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. If you are an educator, a formal educator, a non-formal educator, we'll be discussing the challenges that you are facing for educators, and then developing solutions, coming up with ideas together to be able to address these, so educators can then develop the capacities of the next generation of change makers. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you throughout the week.
Thanks, Usheen. And the Young Scientists Group report is bringing me to the next program, which is the Innovation Lab. The Innovation Lab was one of the very, very first things that came out of the work we did in 2021. And Celeste is leading on innovation, and I leave it to you to explain exactly what we're doing at the moment. Over to you.
Thank you, Kazuki. Hello, everybody. I'm Celeste, and I'm leading the World Food Forum's Youth Innovation Lab. And at the Youth Innovation Lab, what we do is we look to identify, to support, and to scale youth-led innovative initiatives, be they a groundbreaking idea for research, an idea stage project, or a startup that's already transforming agri-food systems. So, throughout the year, the Youth Innovation Lab team have been working tirelessly, and they have cooked up some very exciting events for you all throughout this week. For starters, we will be offering you a healthy portion of youth-led research. Come along to the Transformative Research Challenge finals on Tuesday afternoon to hear about groundbreaking youth-led research, which is looking to solve some of agri-food systems' most pressing challenges. If you're looking to spice up your Wednesday afternoon, you should come and see the Startup Innovation Awards, where you have the chance to see young leaders pitch their solutions which are using the power of technology to change agri-food systems. And coming up right after this, you, the youth, have a very exciting opportunity, because you have the chance to engage with agri-food system leaders, high-profile people, because this year's private sector session is going to focus on how the private sector can play a crucial role in supporting and fostering youth-led innovation. So do come along with your questions for these people. And finally, on Thursday morning, we are going to be serving you a generous helping of idea stage initiatives, because our participants of the Youth Food Lab Incubator Program will be pitching their entrepreneurial idea stage initiatives and showing you how over the course of 8 months they've been developing their entrepreneurial solutions so that they become sustainable and impactful businesses. So, if you want to sprinkle your week with a little bit of youth-led innovation, or a lot of youth-led innovation, do come along to all of our youth innovation events so that you can see how young people around the world are changing agri-food systems today. Thank you.
Thanks, Celeste. And of course, somebody was mentioning before how important it is to have intergenerational dialogue. Intergenerational dialogue itself very often leads to a culture change. Now, culture change is, as the word says, linked to culture. And what we would like to see more is a culture change towards youth culture. And the person who is actually leading that is Lindsay, who hopefully is here. Lindsay? Yay, Lindsay, over to you.
Culture is an international language. It's a universal language. And those languages for the World Food Forum Culture team are film, music, gastronomy, and art. all of which you will see throughout the week at the World Food Forum, and you have already seen the music today. You can go up to the 8th floor to experience our art exhibitions. You have 2 of them there. I'm not going to tell you what they are. You're going to have to discover them yourselves. Then we have another art exhibition in the atrium in all of the different exhibits you will see throughout the week, which is a really fantastic project that I encourage you all to visit every single day. Tonight, we have the concert where we will welcome 6 artist groups from around the world, and it's going to be a really thrilling experience. And of course, throughout the week, in all the main stage events, as well as the youth assemblies and other events, you will be seeing different culture segments, as you saw already today. And that's because we want to use these universal languages of all the parts of culture I mentioned to explain and translate these complex agri-food systems issues into something that everyone can understand, even if you're not in the sector. On Wednesday, we're going to have the film festival at 6:30 p.m. I encourage you all to go to really understand the power of film, whether you use words or not. We did have a winner 2 years ago, which made a film that was completely silent, but you could absolutely understand the message at the end. And finally, on Thursday at lunchtime, we have an event highlighting washoku, which is Japan's traditional culinary heritage, and showing how it can be transversal between all cultures, not just Japan, bringing 2 chefs together to create something that I think you will really like to taste. So I will see you throughout the week.
Thanks, Lindsay. And no matter if you are going to be discussing this week on policy, on education, on innovation, on cultural issues, or on how all of that translates to your national and local context, there is one very important point, and that I would like to do in a small experiment before we are breaking and closing this session. And for this experiment, perhaps, Leila, can I ask you just to stand up so we have one middle point here? So everybody who is on this side of Leila is Group A, and whoever is on this side of Leila is Group B. Now, I would like to, and this is going to be a very, very quick experiment, and Leila, you can choose. You can be both, either B or A, but, so it's big responsibility. Oh, you will see at the end. So for this experiment, I would like now to ask Group A first to close your eyes, and then afterwards, Group B to close your eyes, and Group A can open the eyes at that point. And I'm going to tell, so please here in the middle, decide as well if you want to be in A and B. So for this very first, and then those who have their eyes open, look here on the screen and memorize what you saw. So can I first ask Group B to close your eyes? Close all of your eyes. Group B has closed the eyes. And now, Group A, please look very attentively what you see. And now, everybody can open the eyes again. And may I now ask Group A to close your eyes. Everybody close the eyes. And Group B, look very attentively at the screen, what you can see. Thank you. And now everybody can open your eyes again. And I would actually like to ask now the entire group here, I think 1,200 people in this room, what you see on this slide that we are putting up. What does this say? Felipe, you know it. Soap. Any other opinions? Soup. So some people say soup, some people say something else. Soap. I think it says SO_P. Now, this is a very quick experiment. It's really just for giving you a bit of a brain teaser for this week. As You're going into really interesting discussions and sometimes perhaps negotiations. I show you now what we showed first, the group A. Can I show perhaps the picture that we were showing? So this is the first picture we showed. Then what did we show the other group? This is the other picture that we showed. And we had those who saw the vegetables, perhaps it was not the case, but perhaps you had the association, oh yeah, soup. No, when you look this. The others may have said, oh no, this must be soap. You saw the hands washing. Now, this is just a stupid little experiment, but what is important, and this is just a small message, when you're going into these negotiations, when you're going into all of these discussions, very complicated in such an international setting, is we are all coming with a certain bias. We were creating now in 5 seconds a bias in your brain on something that is quite rudimentary, but imagine you're coming with years and years of bias, of upbringing. Of course, everybody has a personal bias. What is important in these discussions, in order to make them really fruitful, is that you're aware of your own biases, that you're aware of where you're coming from, what kind of mindset you're coming from. Why do you think that what you are putting across in the Youth Assembly is so important to you? And why do you think perhaps another person has a different perspective? So this is really an important message for you when you're going now into these important discussions towards the global action plan and program that you're putting together, and that we are all looking forward to seeing on Friday being launched at the closing of this week's World Food Forum flagship event. And with that, I would like to close this session. I think I'm handing over back to some moderators who are helping me with doing that. Yeah, Joao, thanks so much. And thank you all. See you throughout the week.
Thanks, Kazuki.
Thank you so much, Kazuki, for showcasing the World Food Forum and also for this very exciting experiment. And thank you for all the track leads for sharing the incredible lineup of youth activities that we're going to have throughout this week. I personally can say that I'm very excited to choose and join as many sessions as possible, and I guess all of us can relate to that. No?
Yeah, me as well. Now it's time to wrap up the opening to the Global Youth Assembly. But remember, everyone, this is just the beginning.
There are so many opportunities to get involved, to learn, and to share throughout the week.
Thank you all for being here, and let's make this week a celebration of youth power and action for good food for all for today and tomorrow. See you at the grand opening of the World Food Forum today at 2 p.m. this afternoon in this very same hall. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
New changes where humans redefine. So